everyone. We have some important information we wanted to share about the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States, and we just need a few minutes of your time to explain ourselves. Disclaimer here, neither I nor Brad are scientists or public health officials
I am not
or
an expert. I haven't read any books. I don't have any marketable skills. I'm very stupid. I don't do well on online dating. I've never been to the dentist.
Okay, but what we do have, Brad, is an abiding love for NPR podcasts and a Zoom account.
And a flagrant disregard for copyright law.
Yes, exactly. Therefore, we now present the How Close is the Pandemic's End episode of the New York Times Daily Podcast, summarized as
The COVID cinematic universe. You know, like the Marvel movies. This is the only way young people understand anything is through mass culture cartoon shit. You got to map important health information onto superhero stuff to get anyone to listen.
Yeah, okay. Warning, spoilers ahead. Let's start by using the COVID cinematic universe to illustrate what they mean when scientists describe the 3 variants of concern.
Not to be confused with my 3 variants of concern: champagne Kit Kats, lemon Kit Kats, and black tea Kit Kats, which are the ones that taste like actual dirt. We're talking optimally re-engineered strains of an already lethal virus.
Yes, and we'll start with variant B117, or as we like to call it, the Andy Serkis variant.
What Gretchen means to say is the Ulysses Claw variant, Andy Serkis's most popular non-Gollum character in pop culture. You know, he's in Black Panther, Age of Ultron, Joss Whedon bad movie, he laser arm guy.
Okay, right. We're naming this COVID variant after him because it's basically pretty similar to your garden variety COVID strain, but it has some features that makes it more lethal, possibly up to 30% more lethal. Like how an arms dealer with a laser claw is more dangerous than one with a human arm. B117 is currently thriving in America because it is more contagious, but there's good news. It's likely going to be just as susceptible to the vaccines that we have already produced.
Did you know Andy Serkis is directing Venom 2? It has Carnage in it.
Okay, now on to the next variant. We have B1351, or as we like to call it, the ULTRON variant.
So Joss Whedon made a bad movie, but he thought having James Spader voice a sexy robot would save it. Why would they give the robot an ass?
I know.
What function does an ass have for a robot?
Okay,
It's distracting.
the ULTRON variant is currently less successful than the Andy Serkis variant, with only 53 cases in 16 different states. But keep in mind, we are very bad at tracking the progress of variants in this country because we get more angry about Mr. Potato Head being possibly non-binary than we do about our own public health. Thankfully, the Ultron variant does not seem to be more lethal than average COVID, but it's also good at getting around antibodies. So if you've had COVID before, you still might be vulnerable to it, just like you might get different flavors of the flu in one season.
You think you killed Ultron, but he just keeps having robot babies that kind of look like him, but they don't have that toned robot ass and those pecs.
Okay, please stop
but
talking
they can still
about
kill
that.
you, but not with sex.
Okay,
like
even worse, the antibodies we get from vaccines are likely not to work as well with this one, unless the pharmaceutical companies release specially engineered boosters.
which is what Gretchen has to sit on in the movie theaters when she watches Marvel movies because she's so small.
Very short.
It's very short.
Thank you, Brad.
Tiny. It's like an American Girl doll.
Okay, we left the scariest variant for last. We now give you P1, or the Palpatine variant. And yes, we know you might be thinking, Palpatine? I thought this was based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
But just as this variant is unexpected and unwanted, so too is Palpatine, both in this list, which up to this point has been about Marvel stuff, and also in Rise of Skywalker, because he had no setup in the previous movies. And now I have to know he fucks, he has a penis, he uses it
Okay,
for sex with people.
we don't.
They said it was a clone.
All right.
I don't believe that shit. My
Okay,
head
stop.
canon, he
Stop.
fucks.
Stop.
Okay.
At the moment, only 10 cases have been identified in 5 states, but the Palpatine variant keeps showing up in several other countries. It's the most concerning variant of all because P1 virtually decimated the city of Manaus in Brazil in a second wave of COVID after experts already thought that the population should have achieved herd immunity to the virus. Palpatine spreads quickly, evades antibodies, and there's very cursory evidence that it could even infect people who are already vaccinated on a mass scale. There's simply not enough info to know how bad it could be.
Which is what I said before the Rise of Skywalker came out, but it was worse. It was much, much worse than I thought.
So, what can we do? Mere mortals in a universe that seems stacked against our survival. A quick answer? Get vaccinated with one of the currently FDA approved options, which we will also explain with comic book characters.
Pfizer or Black Panther vaccine. Pfizer kind of sounds like Panther. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You don't care.
Okay, you've probably heard about this one already. Estimated to be 95% effective at immunizing people against the COVID virus. It comes in 2 shots, 21 days apart. Just like how Black Panther was a very good movie that many people went to see twice. It's difficult to store, and shipping it has been a logistical nightmare, sort of like how it would be kind of hard to get in touch with Black Panther when he was secretly using his powers only for Wakanda business or disappeared with half the world for 5 years.
Next, Moderna or the Captain Marvel vaccine. Moderna, Marvel, who cares? You nerds don't need things to make sense.
Okay.
You put a rapture in these movies,
Okay.
and then like, how did they all come back?
94.1% effective. Also 2 shots, 28 days apart. Again, difficult to store and ship, just like how Captain Marvel is really good at punching through spaceships and flying between planets, but it's also hard to get a hold of her when she's shooting across the universe. And apparently you have to use a beeper too.
Most recently approved, Johnson & Johnson, or the Ant-Man of vaccines.
Like Ant-Man, this vaccine doesn't feel as superhuman as the other ones. It's sort of just the average Joe of vaccines. But good news, you only need 1 shot for it to work, and it arrived just in time. Just like Ant-Man did when he told everybody about time travel. It has milder side effects, and it stores for much longer without going bad.
Just like Paul Rudd's face.
I agree with you on that one, Brad.
Doesn't go bad.
Nope. Compared with Pfizer and Moderna, 66.3% of the Johnson & Johnson trial participants who had the vaccine didn't get sick, but nearly all of them avoided hospitalization and death. And clinical trials for this vaccine were conducted at a time when it was much more likely that trial participants would come into contact with COVID at all, which might account for why it has lower efficacy rates than Pfizer and Moderna.
But don't be picky, people. Don't try to hold out for Apple iVaccine 10 Pro. When your society is under attack, you take whatever help you can get. And just because we've defeated the leader of an intergalactic death cult, you get it, Thanos, Trump, there are still these state and local politicians who are happy to sacrifice as many human lives as possible on the altar of the economy.
Like Texas Governor Greg Abbott or Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves, who just overturned their state's mask mandates and reopened. They're like these nasty, bad guys from Thanos' entourage. The gross.
It's called the Black Order.
Okay.
You've got the Ebony Maw, make stuff flying around. You got Proxima Midnight, played by Carrie Coon. Then you got Black Dwarf, who's the big one.
Okay, let's stop right there. The Biden administration has announced that every adult over the age of 16 will be able to get vaccinated by the end of May. A lot has to happen logistically to pull that off, but some of those variants might undercut all of those efforts.
Here's the bottom line. if you're watching this and you understand any of these references, you're probably pretty low down on the list to receive your own vaccination. You're probably thrilled that your older family members may have already gotten theirs and might even be excited to visit them soon. If you like all your older family members, which I don't.
You're exhausted by a year of worrying and see the light at the end of the tunnel. You, like me, might already be looking into Airbnbs in West Lafayette, Indiana, so you and your improv team can gather and ice each other into oblivion to make up for lost time.
Disgusting.
But
But hold up. Don't do that yet. You could unwittingly carry a variant of COVID to even your to even your vaccinated loved ones. More than ever, the things we know that work, like wearing masks and limiting contact with people outside of your household, are vital not only to your personal survival, but to the survival of our very species.
our thoughtless behavior is exactly what the virus wants to bring about the rise of the Sith, an unfathomable loss of life, and an endless, mind numbing, at home experience framed by generation after generation of Mandalorian spin offs. Be like these people instead. From this shot of the Spider Man movie that I didn't see, that has been memed across the internet. Provide the social padding for our heroes to do their jobs.
Or, and I really hate to say this, be like Gwyneth Paltrow at the end of Avengers Endgame. Wait, hold on. Let me finish. She's a civilian who put on the appropriate PPE to go out into the world and protect her loved ones from existential threats. But just don't be like Gwyneth Paltrow when she's just Gwyneth Paltrow.
Better yet, be like Dolly Parton, who gave $1 million to fund vaccine research and filmed her own vaccination, saying, "To all you cowards out there, don't be such a chicken squat. Get out there and get your shot."
It's like she's in the room. It's like she's here.
Thank you. Help organize your loved ones' vaccine appointments. Keep distance. Don't start doing things differently. And for God's sakes, please keep wearing masks so we can insulate our population from these variants of concern. And please also stop watching Disney Plus and listen to public radio instead.
Yes, stop listening. Stop watching WandaVision. Stop watching Disney Plus.
Okay.
Only listen to NPR. And also, I should say, none of what you've seen has been parody or satire. We used all these images for commercial reasons, for
please.
money.
No.
This is deliberate copyright
Brad,
infringement. You
stop
want to
that.
be sued. Bob Iger can eat my entire
Brad,
ass.